Brandon's
Masquerade,
Sanderfans.
paper faces
Nope,
on
that's
parade.
That's not it.
Masquerade, hide your face so the world will never find you.
You know who it is. It's Ben and Sam with Phantom of the Opera, the only fan cast dedicated to only talking about Phantom of the Opera 365 days a year. Ben, let's start off with you. Is this the greatest musical ever written, yes or yes? Am I right?
Hey, Sam, I want to tell you the issue is, before the podcast started, you told me you were going to do that. Got me a little bit nervous, and I said that this is Brandon Fandersans instead of Brandon Sanderfans. So now we have to do that whole thing again, unless you want this to be our opener.
No, this is the greatest opener. I think this is very good.
All right, yeah, no. Sam, since the artifice is peeled away, I will tell you that not only is Phantom of the Opera the greatest musical of all time, it's also the greatest opera of all time. And let me just pull out my list of why it's an opera. It has opera in the title. There's a phantom in it. It takes place on a stage. Chandelier, costumes, makeup ?
Did you mention music? There's music in it.
Music, night. There's also night in it. There's lots of nights in
Yes.
operas. I know because I've seen many operas. I've seen the Phantom of the Opera many times. Is what I mean by many operas.
But and it is also written by Dr. Andrew Lloydithan Webber. Lloydithan is actually the full middle name, but he prefers Lloyd. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that is interesting, Sam. And when I learned that, just now over the phone with you, I was like, that doesn't sound right. But now that you've said it, I think it makes more sense.
When you say it out loud, it sounds a lot better. This was the worst. This is the worst goof. I had this idea to open like this when somebody posted something about the sequel to Phantom of the Opera, Love Never
Dies.
Love Never Dies.
Crazy enough, is not an opera because it doesn't have opera in the name.
Yeah, it's not even a musical. It's just garbage. Yep.
It's actually a reality period drama of people and I say period drama, like the people in it. It's still a reality TV show. Okay, I'm going to walk you through this. So it's a reality TV show, but the people in it, in order for it to be a reality TV show that takes place in a set period, they have to be delusional enough to think that they're actually those people, or like this is actually a good story. So they spend their entire lives just living within the frame of that movie or that experience. Really crazy, I didn't think Andrew Lloyd Webber would do it until, people became delusional enough that they thought that they actually lived in Phantom of the Opera land.
Which is like Disneyland, but for Andrew Lloyd Webber, and no one's allowed in it except Andrew Lloyd Webber, and all of those people inside are just slaves to Andrew Lloyd Webber. It's a messy, messy situation.
It's Andrew Lloyd Webber and Sarah Brightman. Sarah Brightman's in there.
Oh, she's like willingly in there. She's like, wait, I get to do something else, please let me be in Phantom of the Opera land. Oh, anyway, everybody, this is Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam. It's about two best friends who talk about one of the greatest authors, at least our favorite author for us two guys. I'm Sam, and this is my best friend Ben.
I'm Ben. Hey, nice to meet you guys. On the fifth episode.
On the fifth episode.
It's like fourth or fifth. We're getting up there in numbers, but we're getting into Mistborn is what we're rereading,
Yes.
and we read chapters 4 through 6, and this is where things start to pop off. You start to get some of those fancy thieves things going on. You're getting the crew together. You're gonna steal some things, are ya? Kelsier, you can be a bad guy, you can be a good guy.
You're gonna murder someone, Kelsier? Are you gonna murder someone?
Yeah, the answer to that is always stab.
Always stab, but like always a lot of stabbing.
A lot of stabbing.
I gotta tell you, Ben, these are literally three of my favorite chapters I've ever read in any book ever. There's something I love so much about the planning of it, and it is a heist not necessarily. No, it's a big heist because yes, Kelsier wants to kill the Lord Ruler and get him over with, but it's also they want to steal. They want to get that money. They want to get that sweet atium up in their paws, so they can just like let it fall out of their hands and onto their body in a tub. They want to get that good
atium's
cash.
pretty much like super diamonds. It's like super gold. It's like it's like unobtainium. from the Avatar series, except that atium actually does something,
and it actually, and it's obtainable. So of course they're not going to name it that.
Can you imagine?
My gosh.
You know what? It'd be totally cool if the Lord Ruler did name it unobtainium, though. Just like, yeah, you guys can't have this. I got plenty of it. You can't have any of it.
This is for rich people, not you, dirty Scott. Ew, gross. And then they laugh, and then they die. They can't take their riches with them. Hey, everybody, you can't take it with you. Come on.
It's funny because one of the plots of to skip the boat a little bit and go over to Avatar again. One of the plots of Avatar is like unobtainium is like all over the planet, and there are other places they can go to, but the biggest source of it is like in their home, so that's why they have to destroy their home. Or you could not do that, and you could just get the other stuff that's a lot easier to get to. Like, in Mistborn, you can literally only get it from the pits of Hassin, and they're, like, crazy under guard. So, like, you don't do that, and no one knows, except for, like, these people now, that the atium's there.
Well, and unobtainium, I mean, does it have any inherent value? I mean,
I can't remember.
Guys.
I can't remember if it was like a magic fuel or something. I don't know. It's like a pound of that stuff will buy you a planet or something. Was like the comparison, but there's no like practical value. They never take it and like throw it in a demon's face, and the demon goes like, "Oh no, you found my cursed blood magic," and then turns into a bird and flies into their eyes. But then their eyes get bigger. Like bird big, and they can see far and dive bomb for fish.
Or just not big old eyes.
But with big old eyes. Big old eyes.
So in this, if I go back to Avatar real quick, since we're talking about it,
okay.
Why didn't they just steal those?
We did read chapters 4 through 6 of Avatar, so go on.
Why did they worry about something that was like buried underneath? A tree where a bunch of people are, when they could just like steal those dragon cow things and just like and breed those, and they probably have some good meat on them. They're probably super delish. They could just breed those and then start a whole new like meat empire. Why not?
Yeah, or those monster horses. Like they're monster horses.
Yeah.
Like the Na'vi, the Avatar people are like twice as big as normal people, and then they have horses that are like 4 times as big as normal horses. Like I don't need 4 times the horse. You can shave off some. The horse can keep going, and you can still have something to eat. Like
IKEA.
That's just
IKEA
practical.
would be all over that. IKEA would be like, think of those meat balls.
That's their unobtainium. They're like meat.
Yeah, that's people don't know that the whole venture of Avatar, the company that went to get the unobtainium, was actually run by IKEA. Isn't that crazy? Nobody knew that.
It is crazy. It is crazy that James Cameron, the Oscar award-winning director, made IKEA the bad guys in Avatar: The Last Airbender in space. That is crazy.
Hey, but you know what James Cameron isn't doing? Mistborn. He is not going to be directing Mistborn.
What if he did, though?
Brandon Sanderson.
That I'd be pretty okay with James Cameron directing Mistborn.
I don't know. I feel like he'd have some sort of like I'm not a huge fan of James Cameron, and I feel like the way he would do it would make it pretty. I don't want to say Michael Bay-ish. I think he would either go way too far with it, and it would be too much acting or too much explosions and too much action, or he'd go with the other way and turn it into a drama, and it would just be like tons of gabbing and super boring stuff. But what was I going to say? Something about James Cameron. I don't like him. Anywho, we read 4 through 6. Did we mention that? This is chapters 4 through 6 of the novel Mistborn. We're finally getting into it. 10 minutes in. If you've stuck with us this far, you get a gold trophy. Have some atium. Let me dump it on your body. Have some atium.
Have some atium. go and buy Avatar and watch it again and tell us how it relates to these 3 chapters.
Yes.
We are teachers, and this is homework. Please do that. But in these chapters, we quickly summarize. They meet together. You meet kind of like the crew as they are. You get to see Kelsier in action doing cool Mistborn stuff, and then there's a second meeting where they kind of try to trim out some plans and what's going on. So
Yeah.
when I first read the Mistborn, what really drew me to these chapters in particular, this is actually what hooked me into the book. I was interested by the meetings, like the whole like Ocean's 11 meeting up and like, hey, you do this,
Oh, yeah.
you're a specialist at this, you're a specialist at being an Asian contortionist, do that stuff.
Whoa.
Anyway, whoa! I'm Brad Pitt eating some chips. Brad Pitt's just in the corner eating some chips.
You keep talking. I'm just gonna have this taco.
But going into it a little bit deeper, I really think that where Brandon shines the most and where he finds the most enjoyment and like fluidity in his writing is when he's writing a really visceral, interesting, easily understandable action scene. And
Yes.
this is one of my favorites in all of his books. When we first see Kelsier do his Mistborn stuff, jump off the building, he falls, and then he shoots up on a coin that he dropped. Up until this point, like, we hadn't learned a lot about Allomancy itself. These chapters are to introduce us really to what he's doing. He can push metal away from him, he can pull metal towards him. If the metal's heavier than he is, then he's going to, either get moved or pushed towards it or away from it, or he will move it. So I remember just thinking about it, like, okay, so this guy, if he throws a group of coins, those are just bullets shooting away from his body with all of his body weight against them. It really, really interesting stuff, and I remember him, like, all of this, these cool mechanics and all this cool information that he was sharing was completely, almost steamrailed by when Kelsier shows up to keep Venture and then just kills the first guy completely silently. Just like, almost like a falcon descending on him, cuts his throat, it's done, it's over.
Oh,
And I'm just
yeah.
like, whoa, jeez, that guy didn't have a chance, ever. But I think there's lots of good stuff, and a lot of things that Brendan really excels at is by selling a visual spectacle, almost like a major action scene in like a blockbuster movie with the things that he's writing. It's really, really incredible how he does it.
Oh, and like you said, the way he describes it, there was no guessing. You know how? Okay, let's say playing D&D, and you describe that, like, okay, you're over here, the goblins are over here, you do this thing, and then you think, like, wait a second.
You're in the Mister's mansion, and the Gerblins are gonna eat your food. What do you do?
And so you're in this situation with the Gerblins, and they want your food, but you want to keep that food because it's good food. But then after some time, you do some actions, they do some actions, you forget where you are, and you're like, oh shoot.
You forget what the room looks like, you forget what's inside the room, what's going around.
Exactly, and Brandon Sanderson, at every moment, I knew exactly, because of the way he says it, I knew exactly where he was in the room, what he was doing with which object, what he had hurt, if his shoulder was hurting, or when he got hit in the side. Everything was so detailed without being overly detailed to the point of, like, getting lost in translation. It was perfect.
Exactly.
And the way he describes these fight scenes, it's so easy to imagine them that I got, like, my adrenaline was pumping. I was just like, I cannot wait to see this in movie form. I want so bad to see this with my eye holes and not just my mind eyes. And there was a couple parts in it. I should have, like, highlighted them or let me see. I don't think I could find it again. But, like, little things that you would see in a movie where, like, I think Kelsier, like, lands on the ground and slowly stands up. I think he explains it. He, like, lands on the ground, slowly stands up, and, like, gives a wink of the eye or looks at them and smiles or something. And it's something that you would see in a movie. I don't know how much you would read it in a book, but it just gave me chills because I could see it, and I was just like, ooh, nice, Mr. Sanderson. That was a good little flair. Yeah, that chapter was one of the most exciting chapters. Oh my gosh, that fight is amazing.
I really, really love it, and I, even like the presence where he is, like it's so easy for authors, because they're building a world and they want to make it feel lived in and fleshed out, to say like, for example, when he enters in, I don't know, like the greenhouse for Keep Venture, and he goes through the greenhouse and into the office. Well, most of the fightings later takes place in that greenhouse, so it's important that you know it's there and you know like what things are there. He describes it in maybe like I think it counted like 3 or 4 sentences, just like, oh yeah, there are plants, some of them are white, some of them are yellow, some of them are brown, and almost there are no plants here, but that's it. Like, he gives just the barest bone. You know that this room is filled with plants, you fill it with your mind's eye, instead of, some authors will take the time to describe every single little bit to you. So almost you don't even have to imagine anymore. You're almost receiving the information like a download into your brain, instead of like them telling you what you should try to think about and kind of having that appear for it. They're kind of giving you a file to download and save for later, because we're going to need to go into that environment, into that room later. It's really interesting the way he does it, and he even shows, like, just in little short things, almost blink and you'll miss it, how influential Keep Venture is. They have all these people on staff. At a moment's notice, almost, they can get people that could even kill a Mistborn, less talented than Kelsier. Even he barely gets out of there when the Allomancers start to show up. That's it only happened because he set off the alarms on purpose, because he wanted everyone to know. He wanted to make a big scene.
And he mentions it later in the next chapter that I think Ham pays Breeze a coin because they had a bet that Kelsier was the reason for the disturbance. But he paints the picture that he did want to make a disturbance, because he was like, time to make some noise. And they did little things here and there to make sure that everyone knew. What I really like about that chapter too, because there's the fight, which is super cool, but the fact, you could tell that Kelsier is a very, very confident man in his abilities, but he knew when to back out of a fight, because he's like, okay, they've got these Allomancers coming, and if they had a couple of pewter burners, I should be gonzies. And then he knew, and so I know that he was a little afraid. It wasn't showing like he shivered as he realized, some thugs are coming in, but I knew, and I had a little fear. I was just like, I had that fear with Kelsier that, okay, there's a certain point that you got to back out of a fight, but Kelsier knows when to back out of it. And it's not something that Brandon Sanderson wrote, but it's definitely in the character of Kelsier that I felt too. And I love that I can be a part of a character while he's working through whatever he's going through, and I can feel what he's feeling at the same time. It's just, all around super good, super effective writing, super effective character building.
And realistically, he does like a lot more than he should, and it's a little bit, you can catch a little bit in his arrogance that, like, he's like, oh yeah, I can take on like 8 haste killers at a time, when really he should not have. He probably should have gotten out of there before then, especially since he didn't have like any of his weapons. He like with the first guy, he lost his coin purse, but it wasn't going to be doing much because like the guys were being really they were being really smart with how they were fighting too. So it's a little bit arrogance. Like I don't know if you've ever gotten like in the zone when you're doing really good at something, but then it starts to overtake you, and it's hard to know when you can jump out, and when it's like, oh no, it's not over quite yet, I can go a little bit more, and that little bit is what's gonna ruin it. So I think Kelsier knows that a little bit. I think he's not entirely certain of his limitations, but he seems like an older man that's gotten used to understanding what he can and can't do.
Yeah, it's like when you're alone and you're fighting 3 level 9 Dr. Marios on the original Super Smash Brothers. You think you can do it. You really do.
Super Smash Brothers Melee, you think you can do it, but then like you're taking care of everyone, and then one sneaks in the defibrillator right behind you, and you're done. You're done.
Oh man! So that's a large part of the chapters we read is that fight. And then when they're discussing their plans and how they're going to take down the Final Empire, and it's like 13 pages of them just talking and exchanging ideas and going from one character to another. That was so captivating. It's like I was sitting there in the room with them, just like eating some eating some popcorn or just munching on some chippies, and I was just like watching them, and it's just so exciting. It's some could consider a boring part of it because they really are just talking. They're like, okay, well, what about the garrison? It's like, well, I mean, if we get 10,000 troops, nah, bro, they get 20,000. That ain't nothing. But it's so well written that I needed to know what their ideas were. I needed to know how they thought they could get out of it. And it was, like I said, it's 3 of my favorite chapters, and one of them is because of this chapter where they're just talking. And also, I don't know, Ben, if you do this, I like to imagine certain actors. I'm sure, we do fan casting on this show, but I like to imagine certain actors when Vin saw Ham for the first time, she said that he was wearing a sleeveless shirt with a short hair that was kind of pulled like spiky up on the top, I think is what it said, and with sculpted arms. And I immediately imagined Channing Tatum with a puka shell necklace walking into the room, and I hated him so much. I was like, when did Ham get to be a douche? I don't know if I like this guy anymore.
It's funny that you said that, because I did want to do another episode of Sander fan casting where we're going to go in and read. We're going to go read a certain exchange, and I wanted to read that exchange with Vin and Ham. It's really short.
Okay.
It's really short, and I wanted you to play the role of Ham. I don't know if you heard the good news, Sam, but they did get a screenwriter to start on the script for Mistborn.
Yes.
And that screenwriter, I can't remember his name, but he's the same screenwriter that wrote XXX, The Return of Xander Cage, which is in theaters now.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted you to play Ham like he's Vin Diesel.
No. Okay. Wow. All right. That's good. Well, is there?
1 second.
Is there? Let's see. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up in the chapters? Like we mentioned, there's a lot of the fight takes up this really good portion of it, and so does the talking. And we also get introduced very dramatically to Kelsier's brother, which we'll talk about in the next one. But
to anime brother.
That's right. To Marsh.
Anime brother. Yeah, absolutely. The thing that strikes me most about, even when he's writing these characters, he gives us broad strokes for the characters too, and then lets their words and and how they describe themselves define them even more. So we know, if you don't know exactly how Breeze is at the end of chapter 6, like how he treats people, how he acts, how he would react, then you haven't been reading very well. It's right there in the text. You know exactly, like, he's arrogant, but he's also lazy. He's prideful, though. So if there's a challenge, he's going to rise to it, even though he's not really going to show other people that he is. Hammond is a little sweeter. He's a little softer and more compassionate. And he's a lot more metered, but he's I don't know. There's a very certain way that he writes them in, and the way that they treat one another is very distinctive of what Brandon's going for. Like Doxson in the corner, not saying anything against it, even though it's kind of a crazy plan, just taking notes, just progressing. He's like, hey, we're gonna take it one piece at a time and keep it going. And then Kelsier, hamming it up there.
And there were a couple moments reading it because Vin's watching all of them talk, and she's like, how can they pretend to be so nice to each other? They're going to betray each other anyway. And there were a couple times when I was like, Vin, just stop it. You gotta get Reen out of your head, man. But it is like drilled into her mind that someone is going to betray someone 110% of the time. And I have to, it's kind of like with Kelsier smiling. The first time I read it, I was like, why is Kelsier smiling all the time? But that's just Kelsier, he's a very positive guy. And this time reading it, I'm like, why is Vin so paranoid all the time? But it's because that's how she was raised. And I couldn't be mad at that, because she's so fascinated by these friends who are willing to do something as ridiculous as take down the final empire together.
We're going to do another edition of Brandon Sander fan casting, where Sam is going to play Hammond if he was played by Vin Diesel. And I selected a random character for Vin. I got Yoda, so Vin is Yoda today.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Yoda.
Okay.
Why not? They're both small. They're both sneaky. They both
have the Force.
Intuitive.
That's right.
They both have the Force. Although Vin calls it luck.
Okay.
So be sensitive. Okay.
I gotta
so
get
Sam,
my
whenever you're ready,
growl.
go ahead and
Okay.
take it off.
So, anyone know which room is mine?
Oh, this is an apprentice. I'll just make up a voice for it. I'll ask Master Claudette.
I gotta put marbles in my mouth real quick. Morning, Vin. You know, you don't have to hide from me. We're on the same team.
You are going to live here too? Huh?
I don't think I've ever seen a Vin Diesel movie. I don't know what he sounds like.
Sam, you gotta see Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage. It's homework now.
I know. Okay, it's over. It always pays to stay near the smoker. Anyone know where Kel is?
Sleeping! He came in late last night. Not gotten up yet, has he?
Docs.
Third floor in his room he is. Up early he got. Down came at something to eat. Back upstairs he went.
No more. I gotta get really close to the microphone. You always keep track of where people, of where everyone is like that. Screwed that one up.
Yes.
You're an odd kid, Vin.
True.
You're little, and you're green, and you're odd.
Truer words have
Master
never been
Vin.
spoken. And scene.
And scene. Oh, that was hard.
Sam, I don't know if that was
was a
any
hard
good,
one.
but it was very, very funny to me. But, you know, it was a fitting tribute to some of the best chapters that Brandon Sanderson has written.
Oh man. All right. So our next episode, we will be reading chapters 7, 8, and 9. Is that right? Yeah, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, getting deeper in it.
Yeah, getting close. Man, we're almost to the end. Can you believe it? Only about 400 pages to go. 500 pages to go.
In terms of episodes, like I made all of the thumbnails and stuff for the episodes. Like there's only like 20 something episodes altogether, so it is gonna fly by like crazy fast.
Wow. And if you guys are curious when we've recorded these, it is currently 2008, and Obama was just elected president. So that's to give you a little time frame.
Yeah.
Of where we are.
Yeah, here's hoping Obamacare doesn't come around, am I right? My political ties were so different at this time in my life.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Who's that guy who's running against? It was
He was running against McCain, first term.
he was the angry one. Yeah, McCain, that's right.
Yeah. Sam, he was our senator. You were living in Arizona at the time.
Oh. I don't think I voted. Could I vote at the time? I don't remember.
No, I don't think you could vote. We were just 2008, I was just turning 18 that year. So I think you were still 17.
I think it was I was 17, yeah.
I mean, you still can't vote,
Well,
Sam. And you have 2 kids. It's crazy.
I know. We gotta change the laws in the country. However many kids you have, that's how many times you can vote. And that's my new law. That's my new law proposition.
Well, I just want to let everyone that's listening know, Sam and I are having a blast making these. If you guys have any questions for us or anything that you wanted to share, you could find us on Twitter at Sanderfans on Twitter. We have our own Twitter for the podcast itself. Could drop us a question that you want us to address on the podcast, something that you like we've been doing. Please share our podcast so that other people can find it. It's something we love to do, and we're going to keep on doing it for you guys. Just hope that more people can partake and enjoy our particular brand of Yoda and Vin Diesel based humor.
And so you guys have some homework. Go read chapters 7, 8, and 9.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go watch a Vin Diesel movie. Ben is going to...
You know what? I think that Triple X State of the Union is going to be the finest Triple X movie yet. And
Didn't that one already come out?
yes, it already came out.
Okay.
So we could probably have some empirical evidence to that. But I think it's going to be the best one yet.
Oh, man. As always, we're just a couple of best friends looking to talk about Brandon Sanderson.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have anything you want to say, just hit us up. You know where to find us.
Yeah. Twitter
Everywhere.
at BSanderfans. At BSanderfans on Twitter. So
BSanderfans.
thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, read a book.
Read a book.